It's the right word awakened, an invigorating engagement of words, spirit, mind, and self. With word stylist Emily, you can call her Claudette Freeman. Reimagine your words, rewrite your power, recreate your life, renew your story, right here on the Right Word Awakened podcast. It's all part of the Right Word Awakened movement, an Emily Claudette Freeman vibe.
And welcome. It is I.E. Claudette Freeman, as the lady said. Listen, this episode of the Right Word Awakened podcast, we're going to do something a little different. You're going to spend all of your time with me, and I'm going to spend all of my time today with you. How about that? So today I want to talk about something that has really hit my life in a very profound manner over the last, 2 or 3 weeks. And it has forced me to be in a position where all eyes are on me. All of my eyes are on me. And in doing that, I had to revisit, or I had the privilege of revisiting a vision and a woman in a vision. So we're going to talk about that, and hopefully this episode will spark some look in the mirror, put your glasses on kind of conversation for you with yourself. But want to start today with a piece of poetry that I wrote some years ago, because I think it just wonderfully fits this movement of my life that I'm going to share with you on the Right Word Awakened podcast. And so this piece, which is actually also the name of one of my journals, is called Every Woman in You Should Dance. And here we go. So it says, hey, baby girl, what's that look about? Not down, not out. No. Baby girl, there's too much to dance about. That's right, dance. Dance, baby girl. Every woman in you should dance, no matter the occasion. Dance when you're crying, because what's in your heart isn't adding up to what's on your face. That two-step Auntie Pearl used to do feels just fine. Dance when the tears leave tread marks in your fashion fair Maybelline, whatever. Let the breeze from your chubby checker twist blow them away. Dance, sister, when you know he's gone for good again this time. But you stay by the phone waiting for the call. Sweep his dust out the door in the movement of your tango a solo. Dance, baby girl, when the muse that used to amuse you is gone, 'cause somebody else is trying to take it. There's a cha-cha waiting to make you smile. Juke, daughter, that's right. Dance, baby girl. When they tell you you're not worth anything, not a thing, you better know. It's a real jewel that can tutti-frutti like you. Dance, baby girl, even when your body is sore from the foolishness and strife of this thing called life. Even when your mind is pounding, struggling in comprehension, determining emotions that are more surreal than actual fantasy or even reality. Even when your spirit, even when your spirit seems to have laid down in the battle, but your heart still wants to go on. You got to dance for the little girl tugging in your gut that still wants to be held. Dance for the motherly warm hands that still want to hold on to a baby growing and leaving quicker than a Charleston step. Dance for the lover who can't love you like you want to be loved because his beat wasn't designed for your rhythm. Dance, sister, when your wide hips can't dip like they used to, and your sturdy hands don't give that hearty, happy pounding sound like Mahalia's used to. And your groove has grown weary and unresponsive to the natural drums in your soul. Still dance, baby girl. Cut a rug or two for me and you, because no matter what, I've got a song, and every song has a dance, and every dance loves to see a woman move. So, dance, baby girl. Find a note that takes you away to the glory of you. Dance, baby girl, like this may be the last time. as the old folks used to say. Dance, girl, dance, every woman in you. Lover, mother, friend, rejected, joyous, dejected, uplifted, upset, perplexed, remembered, and forgotten. Every woman in you should dance no matter the occasion. So I want to talk about the woman in you and all eyes being on you, the woman in you. In the last couple of weeks, well, probably in the last couple of weeks of July 2018, I've had two conversations that have, as I said, put all eyes on me. And when I say all eyes, I mean the natural, the spiritual, the soul, the heart. I guess you would call it the sacral eyes, or the eyes where of your intuition, my vision eyes. So all eyes have been on me. So I've had to take a look at some things, and it started because I went to a doctor's appointment and got to this doctor's appointment thinking, oh, everything's going to be everything. But walked in, and the nurse started talking to me as he normally does, and he's asking me a bunch of questions, and I'm not really mindful because I'm thinking, okay, I really, need to get someplace. And he always asks questions, and we have a conversation. I'm not paying attention. And so he said to me, how long have you been depressed? And I was really kind of taken aback by the question because, quite honestly, I didn't feel like I was depressed. So he asked, what's going on in your life? And we had a conversation about that. And so when the doctor came in, same kind of conversation, but she was very concerned because she said to me, none of your numbers are where they need to be. Everything that's supposed to be low is high, and everything that's supposed to be high is low. None of your numbers are where they're supposed to be, and we really need to get this under control. And so I'm looking at her, and I'm listening to her, and afterwards I went and spoke with one of the care managers in her doctor's office, and was talking to this care manager about, some of the things going on in my life and this, that, and the other thing, just, chatting, and she's offering advice and all of this. And in the midst of talking to her, I said something, and it really shook me, but it began this whole paying attention to where my eyes were. And what I said to her is I said, I feel like I'm kind of going around in this circle, and my life is happening in this circle, but I don't necessarily know that I'm happening with it or that I'm even present in that circle. And she said, wow, that's a really deep kind of thing. And it really was. But again, it forced me to put all of my eyes on me. My natural eyes said, you need to really pay attention to what's happening with your health. Are you taking your medication properly? Are you eating properly? Are you remembering to eat? How are you resting? When are you going to bed? So my natural eyes now became attuned to paying attention to what I was really doing or to what I'm really not doing. And then my spiritual eyes started paying attention to the fact that even though I am positioned and I can intercede and pray for others, I didn't feel that same kind of power for me. I kind of felt like there's a spiritual constipation when it comes to my spirit talking and dealing with me. And I know that sounds funny, but some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And so that's what my spiritual eyes wanted me to see. My soul's eyes wanted me to see that there was this imbalance in my emotions because of the way I deal with hurt, what may feel like rejection or what may feel like being forgotten. I kind of assess it, say, okay, that's what it is. How am I going to deal with this person or this situation going forward? and I move on. But that doesn't mean I necessarily address the emotional side of it. I address it intellectually, and then I move on. So my soul's eye said, can we please take a look at this imbalance in your emotions? And then because the spirit and the soul stuff was all bent out of shape, then of course the heart's eyes are bent out of shape. They're not seeing properly. They kind of need some contact lenses or some glasses. And so does what some people call, and I'm sure there's a term for it, it's just not coming to mind right now, but some people call it the third eye. And it's that part of you where your intuition, where your discernment comes in, where you're able to sense the movement and sense the times and sense the nature and the spirit and the personality and the character of people and things around you. So my third eye, for lack of a better term, was saying, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? Are you even paying attention? So those eyes were on me. And then the thing that really blew me away is my vision eyes were totally blurry. And when I say vision eyes, I'm talking about that visual side of us that looks to the future, that looks to our purpose and our goals and our why. And my vision eyes saw something, they see something, but for whatever reason, it was blurring. It was blurring. So I had the opportunity, as I said, to have a couple of conversations in two different settings about a particular woman in a vision. In the first conversation, I had a cup of tea chilled tea, iced tea, whatever it is, frozen tea at one of my favorite little spots. I go there to people watch and to write and everything. And it was one of my first encounter working with a life coach, and a friend of mine was there. And so I was talking to this life coach and my friend, and we got to talking about what do I see, who I am, and all of this kind of stuff. And I shared with them that I see the future me very clearly in vision. I've seen her in several visions, so I know her fully well because I see her and I know she's me, and she's very familiar, yet she's very unfamiliar at the same time. And I also, in that second conversation, shared this same woman with a couple of other friends. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the differences in these conversations and what I've kind of learned about what you can see when all eyes are on you. What happens, I will tell you very honestly, is very frightening, because when all eyes are on you, everything that you use to typically deflect attention away from you turns everything right back on you. And so then you know that the spiritual universe around you, that the big and awesome God around you and in you is saying, no, this is this moment. Yeah, this is for real. This is you in the center of the biggest stage in the world with the brightest spotlight ever created and designed by the best lighting techs in the world, and they are all on you. And guess what? There is nobody in this huge theater but you. So you're center stage because you need to take a look at you. And so while you're standing center stage, you see the biggest screen ever right in front of you, and all you see on that screen is you. and everything about you is illuminated because you have to now face some things, and you have to now make some conscious decisions and intentions to walk into some things, or you have the absolute right, I guess, to pretend like you don't see those things and you don't want to walk in those things. But for me, it was a matter of the eyes are there. They're all looking in the same direction, and you are the direction that they're looking in. So let me tell you about this woman. In the first conversation, I admitted that I'd seen this woman, and yet there was a strong fear and intimidation about, I'll call her the me woman. This woman I saw initially during a time of meditation. And she was walking through some type of village. It seemed to be some type of African or forestry type village. And she's walking through this village, and the people are shouting something that seems like words of accolades or something like that to this woman, and she's smiling and she's greeting people as she's walking through this village. And she's wearing very loose fit white clothing, and her hair is tied up, and her hair is in dreadlocks, but it's tied up in like a headband kind of thing. The second time I saw this woman in a vision was again in a time of meditation, but this time she was floating along a lake in a body of water like a huge lotus flower, and she's floating along, and this flower is just very peaceful, and she steps out onto the shore, and again, very loose-fitting garb, and her hair is in locks, and it's tied up again in some type of headscarf. And I believe that in that particular instance, she was wearing yellow. Everything was yellow. The third time I saw this woman in a vision was in a beautiful, huge white frame house with steps that lead up to the porch, and these are these wonderful wide steps that you can sit on or put baskets or whatever on. And in fact, each of the steps on each side had baskets filled with flowers and different kind of things. I remember seeing rocks and stones in some baskets, flowers in some baskets. And there's this wonderful wraparound porch, and all around this wraparound porch there's rocking chairs and wooden chairs with cushions. And I remember seeing the swing chairs, but the width and the length of this wraparound porch had some place to sit and just be. And when the doors to this white wood frame house were like a vivid turquoise kind of color, and when you opened the doors, you walked into this very large room, and on one side of this room is a church pew, and front and center on the far wall, you could see it seemed to open out into like some type of field or something, but right in the center of the wall in the back was a circular thing that kind of reminded me of an Indian dream catcher, but I'm not really sure. And I knew this woman, again, she was very familiar, and yet she was unfamiliar. And she was unfamiliar because, like I said, there was a fear and intimidation for me about her. And I think the fear and the intimidation came from understanding what this me woman must have walked through. So when you see her in these visions, She has this very unbothered peace. She has a very assured wisdom about her and a very serene knowing about her. So you know that she's been through some Psalms 23 things. She's been through a lot of those, valleys where the shadows of death and the shadows of everything else dark are there. And she's had those moments where she's felt like there was no presence or no hint of the rod and staff being there to comfort her. And when you say something like that, it's like, but that's not what the word says, and I get that. But truth be told, there are times in our darkest moments that we know that something is assured for us. We know that something is promised, and yet we can't get to it. We can't feel it. We can't believe it. We can't know it momentarily. It's not that we won't get to it. It's not that we won't learn the lesson in the moment and understand why the absence or the assumed absence of it occurred, but we have to experience it for the truth that it feels like for us in that moment. So I knew that this woman probably also resisted her conversion from the now to the then. She probably fought it because of the uncertainty and there is a semblance of not clinging to faith and not trusting God when you learn, or when you're in the process of learning to submit to spiritual governance and control, right? And often, for many of us, we have to go through a period of blindness in that conversion process. And it's not a comfortable place. It's not a comfortable place because you cannot see. And so when your vision is completely cut off in that conversion process, and everything that you're used to doing and everything that you're used to seeing is now fully submitted to that spiritual moment and that spiritual movement, it's intimidating. You get really scared. And you don't necessarily always do it gracefully. But the me woman that I see in this vision is wearing grace. She's wearing this grace beautifully, and I'm certain it's because she had to learn how to put it on in those very hard and difficult situations. And I know for me, I'll admit that I don't always wear grace well in difficult situations. I wear, okay, I don't want to be bothered. I want to go to sleep and wake me up when it's all over, and I'll continue, right? But she wears grace, which means that doesn't mean nothing is happening in her life, but she's reached a place where enough has happened in her life that she can put on whatever she puts on and do it gracefully, like she's entertaining royalty every day of her life, because she knows that she is, if the only royalty she's entertaining is herself and God. Okay? So in the second conversation, I shared those same visions about this woman, but I also shared another one that came to mind when I was doing a theater workshop, a theater master class. And so we were doing this exercise, and the exercise was visioning a scene. And so as I'm visioning the scene, I see me woman again at the same house. The house looks exactly the same. The doors are the same color, except I noticed this time that in order to get to this home, you have to come by way of lake, which means you have to come on a boat that brings you right up in front of the house. And so I'm talking to them about this house, and some things stood out for me later on about me woman that I think will help you identify, or I hope it will help you identify how people get to you, how people get to you based on where you're going or on the woman you're meant to be. And here's what I mean. So you get to her, the only way to get to her at this big, beautiful house is by lake. Now, it's important for me to tell you this because when I saw her in this visioning exercise at the theater masterclass, there were people all around the house. There were people on a swing in a tree in the yard. There were people on the different areas of the porch. There were people sitting on the steps. And she would go from person to person and have these conversations with them. And she would give some of them little books, and she would give others little journals and pens. And with some, she would pray with them and all of this kind of stuff. So it was clear that this place was a place of some kind of healing. And so what I learned about the me woman is that she went through the valley, she went through the shadows of death, she went through the shadows of rejection, she went through the shadows of not being seen to get to this place of unbothered peace, assured wisdom, and a serene knowing and grace, even in moments of blindness, because she was called to create a place of healing. And here's what I noticed about this place of healing that I want you to really think about when you're visioning who you're to become, when you're visioning your purpose, and when you're visioning who you are now and how you get there. So you had to get to the house by boat on a lake. The first thing I noticed is you didn't get to her easily, which says to me, be mindful of who you constantly allow in your presence. The other thing that I noticed is you didn't get to her without intention. If you come to a place like that, that's secluded and that is purposely designed for healing, your intention was clear. Your intention was about being someone different or being an improved you. It was about working with someone or something that you knew calls to something in you, right? So get very clear about the intentions that you want people to connect with you on. Be very clear about your intentions for their intentions, okay? And the other thing that I noticed is if she invited you to this place, if she invited you to what she had prepared, then it was because she knew part of her purpose was to help you purge and heal. So know what you're inviting people into your life and into your purpose for. So these are some pretty heavy things for me to face about this me woman. And I had to, again, take all of my eyes, all 50,000,003 pairs of them, and say, what's happening in your life now towards all of that? You see it, But where is the vision blurry? Where do you need bifocals to see it because it's gotten so lost in the midst of things? And where are you completely blind to it? So in the second conversation, one of my friends, I asked the ladies at the table, have you ever seen the future you in a vision? And so one of the young ladies shared that she actually has seen this woman, and she described her, and she described the scene and the setting that she sees her in. And I said, so when you see this woman, what is it about her that really catches you? And she said, when I see me in the future, I realize that I can breathe. And that thing nearly knocked me out of the chair because I totally felt that. We can get so suffocated in our histories and in our obligations and in our responsibilities and in other people's stuff sometimes that we don't even feel ourselves breathing. And so she shared part of her non-breathing years and how seeing this woman breathe and be just absolutely enjoy about it made her feel. One of the other young ladies talked about how in her vision she sees different people receiving gifts of helps, and she's got something set up where people are being helped, and so there's somebody there running that and this, that, and the other thing. And so I said to her, well, why don't you see you in your vision? And she said, well, because I've set everything up, so I'm off resting. I'm off on vacation. And that kind of struck me. And so I said to her, well, I want you to think about seeing you in your vision and paying attention to what you feel and what you sense about the you in your vision. So later on, as I thought about that, I said to myself, okay, this is not about her. Because, again, all eyes are on you, sweetheart. So I asked myself this question. Why did her not seeing herself in her active vision stick out for me? And as I sat with that question for a while, I had to remember, because it was me so often. So often, whatever vision was going on in my life, it was about this, it was about that, it was about the other thing, it was about this person's thing, it was about putting all the people and the pieces in place so that they're fed and so they're thriving and so that they're happy and they're prospering and the businesses are going well and blah, 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 on and on and on and on. And then I would just kind of go over there somewhere. Just go over there somewhere. And that's why what she saw in her vision stuck out so boldly for me. And so my question for you to consider is, where are you really in your vision? When you see your me woman, where is she in your vision? Where is she in your purpose? Is she fully engaged in her meaning, in her being, in her own presence? Is she there? I want you to make sure that she is there. And so I want to kind of head to the close of this episode today, and I'm sure I've run long today, but bear with me, with a visualization. So I want you to take some very deep breaths. Breathe in as deeply as you can from the very bottom of your belly. Breathe in as deep as you can and exhale. And I want you to do that again. And just clear your mind. Don't try to overthink me. Don't try to wonder what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do. Breathe in again and exhale deeply. And do that for me one more time. And as you do it this time, I want you to see your me woman 5 years from now. I want you to see her very clearly in the place that you see her. I want you to pay attention to everything around her. What color is she wearing? What is she wearing? How does it look on her? When she recognizes you, do you recognize her? And as the two of you slowly approach each other, how are you feeling? And as the two of you slowly approach each other, what kind of sense do you get from her? What are you discerning about who she is and who she's become? And now that you're just inches away from her and she extends her body to you, is she reaching out her hand, or does she reach out with arms extended to embrace you? And why do you notice what she does? And when she shakes your hand or embraces you, what happens the moment your now touches your then? The Bible tells a story of Mary and Elizabeth meeting each other, and they're both pregnant. And when Elizabeth gets near Mary, who's carrying the baby Jesus, the baby in her womb leaps. And so what happens when your spirit now meets your spirit then? Is there a leap? Is there a fear? What happens? I want you to take the time to fully write out that experience and use it to plan some things on your journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of The Right Word Awaken. I appreciate it. I hope you gained something from it. Listen, before we head to the aim, and you know we end every episode with an affirmation and intention in a your move, I want to invite you to listen to me just rambling and sharing my thoughts on a much shorter podcast called Arise with E, and new episodes drop on Spreaker.com every Tuesday morning at 8:15. That's Arise with E. And don't forget to visit the new website where you can check out our new line of literary empowerment T-shirts and tanks. I speak English, really I do. T-shirts and tanks. I'm really excited about that. I've always wanted to do something fun like that. So the website is wearablewordfactory.com, wearablewordfactory.com. And so our aim, your affirmation for this episode, I am fully capable, powerful enough, joyous enough to breathe, rest in my peace, and hold me sacred. Your intention, I intentionally create environments that thrive and expand for me. Your move, get back in your vision, get back in your life. Do one thing every day to engage the full presence of the moment, whatever the moment is. And as always, if you need a copy of these, you can drop us a line at rightwordawakened@eclaudetteliterary.com. We'll talk to you next time.
You've been listening to The Right Word Awakened, an invigorating engagement of words, spirit, mind, and self with word stylist Emily. You can call her E. Claudette Freeman. Want more information? Visit www.eclaudetteliterary.com. For sponsor, guest, and other show information, email rightwordawakened@eclaudetteliterary.com. Until next time, tell your words to wake up.